Well, why don't we go ahead and get started? And with that, uh, Dan Spot sitting in for Lisa with the Dalles Area Chamber. So welcome to the Dalles Area Chamber Community Affairs. And I'm going to start with brief introductions around the table. Our guest this morning is Superintendent Carolyn Bernal with the North Wasco County School District. So I'll go around and we can do the Brady Bunch routine here. And if you have any news that for the good of the order, brief reports, ask you to keep it brief, but please go ahead and let us know what's going on in the community. Commissioner Brady, I'm going to start with you.
Good morning, Phil Brady, Wasco County Commissioner, and I want to make a big extended welcome to you, Dr. Bernal, to welcome to this group here today. This is going to be the most sympathetic group you will find anywhere in the Dalles, because most everybody here has had government experience in one way or another and knows how hard it is to move the ship of state, and also how hard it is to deal with the public. So this is a great place if you ever have a representation you want to try out first, this is the place to do it.
Absolutely right, Phil. Corliss Marsh.
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh with Habitat for Humanity and the Senior Center, and also the library. No new updates. One more, just one more. The College Foundation, we're having a golf tournament in September, and we're looking for sponsors. So
how do we make contact on that, Corliss? Do you want to put something in the chat or
contact me?
Okay.
I'll put, yeah.
You'll put your email in the chat box. Great.
Correct.
Thank you, Corliss. That way this is recorded and people can tune in and pick up that information. Scott?
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, everyone. Scott McKay. I'm a community liaison for Circles of Care, and it's an organization, nonprofit, that connects older adults who need some kind of periodic support with volunteers. The only thing I like to report is that tomorrow we hopefully will find out whether we were approved for our grant application to provide some respite care for older adults living with dementia, and basically providing the respite for their care partners. And that's thankfully due to Mid-Columbia Senior Center making that application. And so tomorrow, the 30th, we'll find out whether we made it or not, or whether we, now some of us are kind of worried that we might actually get the grant, and then we have to start really working hard to implement it. But it could be exciting, or we just have to wait again for another year. So thank you.
Good luck, Scott. You gave me details on that one. It's a fascinating, urgently needed service. I hope that comes through. Bill Lennox.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bill Lennox with North Central Public Health District, representing Wasco County, and also with Six Rivers Dispute Resolution Center. And I think we are all, Six Rivers particularly, is working through some of the issues having to do with USDA funding and some of our work in that area. But so far, we're holding ourselves together pretty well. Got great staff. And so if you ever are considering an issue that you feel like would need some resolving in your community, be sure to look for Six Rivers as your first stop in terms of starting the process. Thanks.
Bill, is that grant funding, programmatic funding from USDA?
Yeah, we, believe it or not, Six Rivers Dispute Resolution Center has been the go-to place for USDA mediations having to do with agricultural issues. And so we're hoping that the funding will continue to stream through.
Okay. Good luck, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
We go to Carolyn Felderman.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Carolyn Felderman. I work for Columbia Gorge STEM Hub. We're a division of the ESD, the Education Service District. And so, we're just gearing up for summer and looking forward to how we can support teachers and students in the next school year. So I'm looking forward to hear Dr. Bernal's updates.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. Jacob Anderson.
This is Jacob Anderson, the new Economic Development Officer for the City of the Dalles, the lowly replacement for Dan Spatz. And one thing I can say is we have Pitch Fest this evening at 5:30 for everyone. And I do have some good news that the U.S. Department of Transportation released the money for the Hood River Bridge replacement process, that 200 million finally. So we are starting to see some things move at the federal government, which is really great.
That is fantastic news, Jake. Wow. Good, good. Thank you. We have a T. Brum joining us.
Oh, Dan, that's me, Tanya Brumley. I need
Oh,
to update my I
I
had to
should
go
have
on,
guessed that, Tanya. Go ahead.
I had to do a Zoom incognito last week and I haven't been able to change it since, so I've got to get that corrected. But Tanya Brumley, Northwest Natural. I'm just looking forward to the presentation today.
All right. Thank you, Tanya. And with that, I believe we've covered everything here, and I am pleased to turn this over to our guest speaker this morning, Superintendent Carolyn Bernal, North Wasco County School District. Carolyn, take it away.
Hello, good morning. Can you hear me okay?
I can, and I should say, if people, are you okay with people jumping in with questions, or if you have a presentation?
Yeah, I have a presentation. And absolutely, people either can jump in while I'm talking, or you can ask me questions at the end, either way. And my apologies for being a few minutes late. I just got issued a new laptop yesterday, and apparently I hadn't downloaded Zoom yet.
That's okay.
I had to do a quick download before I could jump on, so my apologies.
Oh, you were just fine. You were just fine. I'm making you co-host.
Okay, perfect.
And there you go. People, if you'd like to raise your hand or just jump in, or if you have questions you'd like to put in the chat box, that's fine too. I'll be looking at the chat box. And Carolyn, I think there we go. Looks like it's starting.
Yes, and let me make sure. Let's go. Okay. So thank you so much for having me here today. I think I know most of you, or have interacted with all of you on one level or another throughout the course of my tenure here in North Wasco. I'm finishing up my 4th year serving as superintendent. Those of you who I haven't, Jacob, welcome. Congrats on your new position. That's awesome. And Bill, I don't think I've met you personally, but pleasure to meet you virtually. And Tanya, I don't think I've met you either, but pleasure to meet you as well. So I'll give you some updates and happenings going on in North Wasco. I packed in a lot of information, so I'll try to cover it as thoroughly as I can. But again, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So one of the things I always like to start with is our mission and our vision. Our mission statement is educating each student to the highest standards while motivating them to reach their fullest potential and graduating them to be college, career, and life ready. And our vision statement is our schools are a place where children belong. Each student is known by name, strength, and need, and provided the education and opportunities to achieve success. We also have values that we have developed as we went through our 2027 strategic planning process. Our values include striving for equity and inclusion, celebrating our diversity, engaging our whole community, supporting the whole child, and promoting and achieving academic excellence. Also included in our 2027 strategic plan is our portrait of a graduate, which encompasses a comprehensive set of skills, mindsets, and competencies for navigating life beyond high school, including their career pursuits, furthering their education, personal development, and being embedded within their community, wherever that may be. And there's attitudes and skills that we hope our graduates will leave with. Those attitudes include curiosity, respect, integrity, and confidence. And the skills we hope they leave us with are creative problem solving, collaboration, resilience, initiative, and critical thinking. This is just a quick snapshot of what our demographics look like in our district. This is 23-24 demographic data from our last prior school year. And we'll update this. We update this every year as we get our new demographic data in. But on the left-hand side, you can see kind of the diversity of our student population. In the middle is just some facts about the different populations that we serve. And then on the right is just some stats from our last year's graduating class, the 2024 graduating class. So I'll talk a little bit about what really guides our work in D21. So we have three really overarching domains that all of our work kind of falls into. We call these just our buckets of work. The first aim is student well-being and engagement. The second aim is educational excellence. And the third aim is innovation in the classroom. And then we have guiding and supporting documents that guide and support all of this work that we're doing. And that includes our strategic plan, which embedded within the strategic plan are five areas: student experience, teaching and learning, community engagement, staffing, and facilities. Another document that guides our work is our integrated guidance plan. We just submitted our 25-27 integrated guidance plan. This is a newer development. I'll talk more in depth about it, but it's a required plan for submission to the state. It includes 6 programs with common goals. It does include grant and aid to the district through the SIA, which is the student investment account, and then HSS, which is high school success, and also early literacy dollars. Our 25-27 integrated plan includes 6 outcomes and 22 accompanying strategies to meet those outcomes. And then another guiding and supporting document or program is the intensive program. We're in the second year of our participation in the intensive program. With this program, we are one of 4 districts in the state of Oregon currently participating in the intensive program. If you've been following the legislative session and following the governor's work around accountability in schools, this is a program that she has identified as part of her accountability plan, meaning that school districts that aren't making adequate progress, she kind of has a tiered system that she's talking about, but school districts not making adequate progress towards their longitudinal performance growth targets after 2 years would be required to participate in what's called coaching. And then after 3 years of not making adequate process, school districts would be required to participate in the intensive program. And after 4 years of not making adequate progress, school districts would have to remain in the intensive program, and the state could come in and direct 25% of the school district's budget. So some pretty strong measures that the governor is taking for to get accountability and get things more visible in school districts. But North Wasco was actually approached 2 years ago and invited to participate in the intensive program. And as a district, when we received the invitation, we looked to other districts who were already participating. And at that time, there was only one other district participating. So we talked with them to learn about their experience in the program so far. And then we met with the Oregon Department of Education, who we received the invitation from, to really understand what this program was, what it would do for us, how it would help us. And also this program comes with grant and aid, and the grant and aid we received was almost $4 million, which gets spent over the 4 years of this program. It's a 4-year participation program. So after meeting with the other district and after meeting with the Oregon Department of Education and kind of weighing everything, we decided to accept the invitation and participate, because why wouldn't we want expertise from the outside to help come alongside us and help us really drive improvement in our district, including systems improvement, academic achievement improvement, improvement of social and emotional well-being of our students. So over the first 2 years of this program, we've been able to build a really strong relationship we have with what we call stewards. We have a leadership steward that is working with us. We have a teaching and learning steward, and we have a community engagement steward. And then we have a lead steward through the Oregon Department of Education. And they've already been out here several times visiting in person with us and working alongside us this last 2 years. And through that work, we've identified 3 ultimate aims that include accountability and support mechanisms, building capacity for systemic success, and then the community as the heart and hub of our schools. And then lastly, the other thing that guides our work is just goals. This past year, my goals included supporting innovative classroom practices and experiential learning for kids, monitoring and supporting systems aimed at student well-being and engagement, and supporting growth towards our longitudinal performance growth targets. And our school board also works, and they do goals as well. We work collaboratively together when we do our goals development. And our school board had identified this past year as forming a bond planning group, attending 3 school-based events with the superintendent, and then creating an action plan from our longitudinal performance growth target and local district assessment data. And really, at the end of the day, what really drives all of our work, and this visual is just about our North Star, which is our kids. Our kids are always our North Star, and really at the what we base all of our decisions on. I'll talk just a little bit more about what integrated guidance is, which is integrated guidance. So the Oregon Department of Education used to have school districts writing separate plans for all these different programs, some of them that come with money, some of them that don't. And what they did was they took 6 of those programs that share common elements and they embedded them into one single plan, which became the integrated guidance plan. So we're entering our 2nd cycle of integrated guidance. We're just finishing our 1st cycle, which was the 23-25 plan. So our process this year included a team of 20 district staff, which included administrators, directors, our licensed staff. We had social emotional learning support assistants in there. We had dual immersion team members on our team working collaboratively to develop our application. The application has to include your longitudinal performance growth targets. There's 5 that we're measured on, which is regular attender data, 3rd grade reading proficiency, 9th grade on track, 4-year graduation rates, and 5-year completion rates.
Carolyn, may I?
Yeah.
With a quick question myself.
Sure.
Definition of longitudinal.
So we're required to set targets. And longitudinal means we're measuring growth over time. So the longitudinal, we're required to set, so when we did our 23-25 goal setting for these 5 areas, we set it over a 5-year period. So we're looking at a 5-year period of growth.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. So the 6 programs that are embedded within integrated guidance is high school success, student investment account. Both of those come with grant and aid. Continuous improvement planning, those are federal dollars, and we do actually receive federal dollars. 5 of our 6 schools were identified for continuous improvement planning, so we receive dollars for those. Career and technical education, which does come with some grant and aid. Everyday matters, which is really the attendance work. That does not come with any dollars. And then early indicator and intervention systems also, which does not come with any dollars attached to it. And the common elements of all of these programs includes that we have an authentic engagement process, that we're basing our decisions focused with equity, that the focus is on students who have been historically marginalized in our education system, that there's a comprehensive needs assessment and a continuous improvement cycle. And the common goals include well-rounded education, equity advanced, engaged community, and strengthened systems and capacity. So we've submitted our plan. All school districts, there's 197 school districts in the state of Oregon. Everyone had to submit a plan. So everyone's plans are in the review process right now. That means there's a team that gets assigned from the Oregon Department of Education. They review your plan. Then they send it back to you with either feedback for things they want you to change or that they didn't understand or that they need you to clarify, and or the budget that you attached to your plan. If there's some misalignment, you go in and you correct that. And then you do what's called a resubmission for final approval. Our intensive program, as we go talking about the governor's accountability model, I really like to look at North Wasco as a model for accountability with our participation in this program. This program was actually launched in the fall of 2023 under the Student Success Act. Currently, it is an invitation-only program based on student outcome and demographic data. And it's a 4-year minimum commitment to equity, community engagement, and system improvement. And the goals are of improving attendance, 3rd grade reading levels, 9th grade on track, graduation rates, our completion rates, so all the longitudinal performance growth targets. The structure of the intensive program, there's 2 bodies that oversee the intensive program. One is the advisory body, and that's the group on the right, and that's a very large group. And their role really is guiding exploration of improvement by areas and giving suggestions to the stewarding body. And then the stewarding body, that's the group on the left, is the decision-making body, and that's a 7-member team. And they make formal recommendations for how we're going to spend the money and make the decisions about how the money will be spent. So as I said, we've identified 3 ultimate aims. The first one is the accountability and support recommendations. And through that recommendation, things that we have funded include the position of a director of prevention and intervention, a coordinator for intensive and strategic success, and we completed this year a special education audit. And then another thing is customized coaching for fiscal stewardship and continuous improvement, which comes at no cost to us. That's actually free to us. It's a service that the Oregon Department of Education offers to school districts for free. Our second aim is building capacity for systemic success. And the areas that we are funding through that include assistant principals in our elementary schools, science of reading training for all K-5 teachers. It includes dollars towards lead teacher stipends to engage with us in the work of improving academic achievement, community engagement and family workshops, a Middle School Matters campaign, which we're getting ready to launch this coming school year, and then some leadership coaching for all of our principals and directors. And then again, customized coaching for literacy, language, SEL, which is social emotional learning, and then PLCs, which is professional learning communities. And again, that's at no cost. It's a free service through the Oregon Department of Education. And then our last aim is the community as the heart and hub. And through that, we have funded, we completed a community engagement audit. We have purchased some additional interpretation equipment to serve our population of families that whose first language is not English and or need interpretation. Youth Truth Survey work, and then we've established a youth advisory council that's a collaboration with the Next Door Incorporated. And all of this really work through the intensive program is about continuous improvement, which that visual on the right really is that continuous improvement model where you plan, you do, you check progress, you act, and then you plan, you do, you start all over again. So it's just a cyclical cycle that we go through for continuous improvement in our schools. Some district highlights. This past year, we have been working with a mental health consultant here in the state of Oregon, Dr. Joe Leckham, and he has been helping us with really a focus on the mental health and well-being of our students. We have a lot of students who are experiencing a multitude of different things and coming to school with what I like to call their invisible backpacks. Every kid comes with an invisible backpack, and we don't necessarily know what's in them until we really get to know the student and begin to unpack the things that we can't see that are going on for that child. And one of the things that in my experience and working here in this community is that we have so many great community partners, and everyone is doing really great work on behalf of our youth here in this community. But sometimes it feels like we're doing it in silos or like side by side, but not necessarily together. And so through the work with Joe, we've established the Youth Wellness Community Collaborative. It's my attempt to bring community partners to the table with the school district and really engage with us in understanding the needs of our youth and what are the things that we're experiencing inside the walls of our schools with our youth. And then how can our community partners help us with any resources that we can offer to our families. And it's just more about knowing what are all the services our different community partners offer that will help better support our students when they're in school. So this past year, we held 3 meetings throughout the year. It included over 25 community partners. And again, we're working to address significant challenges in our students' mental and emotional well-being. We're wanting to recognize schools as the heart of the community and really nurture the academic, emotional, and social growth of our students. And it's a commitment we're making to breaking barriers, fostering open conversations, and really building a network of support for our students. And the 5 areas we've kind of targeted that we're working on with our community partners is school attendance and engagement, substance abuse prevention for our youth. We are finding, especially in our older youth, we do have kids that are experiencing substance abuse. Direct mental health services. How do we bring the direct mental health services actually into our schools and really meet our kids where they're at, so they're not having to access these services outside of school, but they can come to school and get them there. Services for our LGBTQ plus community. That is one of our most marginalized student populations. And they're the population that is highest at risk for suicide. And then transportation and community access, recognizing that a lot of our kids face barriers in how they get to school, depending on where they live and what access they have to transportation and or safe routes to school. Talk a little bit about attendance. So last year, our target, when we talk about the longitudinal performance growth target, we had set a target of 62%. We met our target. We actually exceeded the county rate. We're still a little under the state rate. But what's most important to know is that, you know, missing 10% or about 2 days each month over the course of a school year will really contribute to our kids falling behind in learning to read. And in the left, that gives you some statistics if you want to break that down in terms of our student population. So 1,225 of our kids, or 43% of our students, are not defined as a regular attender, which means 25% of our students are defined as chronically absent, and 18% of our students are defined as severely chronically absent. And regular attender data is measured by the first day that a student enrolls in school. It's that date up until May 1st, and the number of days that are available for the student to come to school. They must attend 90% or more of those days. So if they've attended less than 90% of those days, they are now considered a non-regular attender. So when we square student attendance with student achievement, you know, all of these kids that aren't coming to school on a regular basis are falling behind, and it's hard for us to get them caught back up, because as we say, if you're not in school, we can't teach you and you're not there to learn. And that is putting our students at a deficit. So what are some of the things that we're doing to address regular attender data? So with our continuous improvement dollars that we received, as I mentioned, we had 5 out of 6 schools that were identified for continuous school improvement. Those are federal dollars that we receive. We took those dollars and we, with a partnership with the Next Door Incorporated, we have brought youth outreach workers into our schools to help address post-pandemic challenges in our students' mental health and chronic absenteeism. We have 3 youth outreach workers working in our schools. Each youth outreach worker is assigned to 2 schools, so they work half time in each school. And again, we're focusing on the academic growth alongside the mental, social, and emotional well-being of our kids. And our YOWs really bring to our schools this student-centered support. It's targeted mentoring, collaborating with our attendance teams, and giving kids access to resources and career support. A lot of them work very closely with the attendance teams in our schools. They work directly with families to understand the barriers in their child coming to school on a regular basis. They do home visits. They do wraparound services. They connect families to the resources that they need that are getting in the way of their kids coming to school on a regular basis. So that's brand new this year, and we will be continuing that next year. And we're excited to see the work of our youth outreach workers grow. Through our intensive program, we have climate and culture TOSAs in each of our elementary schools. A TOSA is a teacher on special assignment. And they are focusing on ensuring that our schools are positive school environments and that we're meeting the unique needs of our kids. Our goals over the next 3 years is to really collaborate with staff in our elementary schools to align our practices across schools. And we want to make sure that we have established consistent, welcoming, and a positive school experience for all of our kids. Innovations Academy and our Innovations Virtual Academy continues to grow. This is our alternative education program. It's housed at our Wetumpka campus. Those stats, the 112 and 169, is actually from last year. The program has since grown. We have over 100, we have about 130 students attending in person at Wetumpka campus. Those are in grades 8th through 12th. We are phasing out the middle school. So next year it will only be grades 9-12 for in-person. And then our online program services K through 12. And we currently have almost 220 kids enrolled in our virtual program K-12. And then also Innovations Academy services Norcore and our juvenile detention education program. We have 2 classroom teachers housed out at Norcore. We have 2 classrooms. And I'm happy to say that for the first time, we have graduated three youth out of Norcore who have gotten their diplomas while housed at the detention center, which is a huge celebration and really a tribute to Principal Schultes and the work that she's doing over at Innovations Academy. And then our dual immersion program at Chenoweth Elementary. Our dual immersion program is a program that fosters bilingualism in English and Spanish, and students learn grade level content and while developing literacy and communication skills in both languages. It's a 2-way model, so each class is made up of about half native English speakers, half native Spanish speakers. And our goal of that program is to prepare our kids for a multicultural world with strong academic and language skills in both English and Spanish. Kids start out in kindergarten with 80% of their instruction in Spanish and 20% in English. And that continues through 2nd grade. And then in 3rd grade, it lowers to 60% Spanish, 40% English. And then 4th and 5th comes down to 50-50. Currently, the program serves students kinder through 4th grade, and we are working on our expansion plan. It'll move up to 5th grade next year, and we're currently working on our expansion program for what it's going to look like when kids get into 6th through 8th grade. Looking ahead, you know, if you pay attention to just what's happening with schools and school districts in Oregon, a lot of school districts having to do some major budget reductions. We had to also do some budget reductions, but we did that through some attrition, staff leaving, and some positions that we were able to identify that we did not need to refill. Our enrollment remains fairly stagnant. We've not recovered from pre-pandemic levels. Pre-pandemic student enrollment was a little over 3,000 students, and right now we hover around 2,850. With the budget, there's still a lot of uncertainty around federal funding. All of our title dollars, National School Lunch Program, all of those things, we're still waiting to see what that's going to look like. And then there's been a ton of inflationary costs, especially around PERS, which is the retirement system for our employees. We are one of 21 school districts that got hit with a double-digit PERS increase, which equated to about a 3.3 million hit out of our 25-26 budget. That said, we've already had our budget committee meetings. The budget committee did approve our budget. We have a proposed balanced budget for the 25-26 school year, and that'll go to the board in June for public hearing and final approval. We've had an interim CFO this year, Randy Anderson. I was able to pull him back out of retirement and suck him into helping us out this year, and he's done an amazing job taking the helm and helping us right sides the ship. And we just did our process for hiring a new CFO. We have hired a new CFO, which we will be announcing soon. We have several summer projects happening on the west side of town this summer. We did apply for a seismic grant for Chenoweth Elementary School. We did receive that, and that work is already underway. That's going to seismically retrofit and make safe the gymnasium at Chenoweth Elementary. It's also going to include some refurbishment of the school offices And it's going to include a new secure front entrance. That will be a much needed improvement to improve the safety and security at Chenoweth Elementary. We also have safe routes to school happening this summer. We've met with the city to go over those plans, and that is to install sidewalks from Snipes over to Chenoweth Loop. So we're excited about that project happening and improving safe routes for our kids to be able to walk to school on the west side of town, whether they're walking to the Watonka campus or Chenoweth Elementary. And then our new hawk nest, or the new press box. As you know, we had one that was just no longer safe, and so we had to take it down, and we've been without a good press box. That will be getting installed this summer and ready for our first football game this fall. So that's super exciting. Summer learning, we did qualify for $415,000 of summer learning dollars. And so we've applied for those and anticipate receiving them. And we're already planning for summer programming, which will include a Jumpstart Kindergarten program, which will focus on entry transition skills and set our incoming kindergartners up for success. We'll have a K-8 program that is focused on, it's a very targeted literacy instruction program. It's very prescribed by the state of the things that we need to do with kids, but the focus is on literacy instruction and getting kids who have fallen a year or more behind caught up. And then it'll include 9-12 credit recovery, which allows our high school students who need to catch up on credits the opportunity to do so this summer. And then also our partner district, Columbia Gorge ESD, they will be offering migrant preschool programming, a K-8 migrant program. They're going to offer a native culture camp program, and then there'll be several STEM learning, summer learning opportunities for students in K-12. And then in terms of a bond, we are going to have some new board members joining officially in July when they get installed. So the current board had made the decision that they should pause any decisions about timeline and planning for the next possible bond measure until new board members are installed and they can be brought into the conversation. So more to come on that. And that is all I have for you. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Carolyn, I don't know how you can begin to keep track. That is amazing.
We have a lot going on.
That is absolutely amazing. I've written down several questions here, but I'm going to turn it over to the group. And with this group, I'll bet we have a lot of questions.
Sure.
Folks, take it away. Tanya, it looks like you've got your hand up first.
Yeah, I just wanted some clarification. When in your presentation, you mentioned the 4-year graduation rates and then 5-year completion rates. I've never heard of that. What does a 5-year completion rate mean?
So we have some students who don't graduate within the 4 years, who continue with us for a 5th year and graduate in year 5, if that makes sense.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So
they still graduate. It just takes an extra year.
Correct.
I got
so
it.
They're either graduating and or completing a GED.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good clarification. Thank you, Tanya. Other questions? I'll jump in with one if you're still thinking about them. And you mentioned some of the impact, but to take it a little bit broader at the federal level, we see discussions of the outright elimination of the U.S. Department of Education. What would that mean from a local perspective?
Unclear, not sure yet. I mean, it sounds like it's their attempt to, I'm not sure. I don't know what that means for school districts and or states, but my understanding is that's their attempt to return decision-making back to just the states, where the federal government, I guess, wouldn't be involved, but I really don't, it's unclear. Nobody really has clarity on what that actually means.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phil, you have your hand up, sir. Oh, Phil, you're muted.
There we go. That's better. I attended one of the graduations last month at Norcor, and it is a prideful moment. when I was there for 9 years, we only graduated one student in 9 years, and had maybe 5 or 6 pass an ESD, GED. So it's a huge compliment, and that program is really well, and I'm happy to see it going. I might take a moment here because this is I listened to your interview with Robin Denning,
Oh, yeah.
and appreciate you reaching out to him, and that was I learned a lot from that interview.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna excuse me if I'm gonna be a little long-winded here because I've been thinking about it ever since that interview. And I'm going to start with junior high and our common experience that junior high students can think of themselves as nothing wrong can happen to me. I'm impervious to all kinds of things. And I'm just going to hold that idea because that also carries over to adults. Adults have this same concept, and I'm planning that idea because I'm going to come back to it later. I noticed in your discussion today and also in the conversation with Robin, that where you're really working in our district is a place that is the long game. It's starting at the primary grades, the kindergarten, and I'm my career, like the work you've been doing, is seeing where are the needs, where has been the trauma, where has been we're going to the people where the pain is, and that should be our priority. This group here, this sponsored by the Chamber, it's been going for many years, and Joan Silver was the matriarch of this group 10 years ago, and she was the instigator of a bond, like 2 bonds ago, and I worked with her. And so you can really call on this group to be a help when it comes to strategizing and working toward a bond. And this is also a good group to think about the school district from the perspective of the Chamber of Commerce, which is looking at the goal of the chamber is to promote the businesses, to promote the economic development of the community. And so here's where I'm going to come back to that. When our adults think like junior high students, that they're impervious, nothing bad can happen to me. The wonderful programs that you're putting there, looking toward the needs of our students who struggle, don't appeal to business people because they think nothing wrong can happen to me. This is a bad way to say it, but from that perspective, is like, does a district that really focuses on special education, does that look attractive to a business person wanting to place a business? Because and it doesn't, because they don't think anything bad can happen to them. They don't think that my students are going to need the things that kind of district offers. You and I know that this is our reality. This is where we need to be. This is where we need to put our special emphasis. But it doesn't shine in the eyes of people who are looking for economic development. What does shine is the center. The school is center of the community. The high school is the center of the center. And we do have a high school that has things that can shine on it. And so in your report, there are things that connect to the high school, but it doesn't bring out the high school in as a shining object. And I think that could be a place, as you're moving toward a bond, is to really let the high school get a champion. Back in the days, Steve Jupe, the principal, he was out in the community perhaps more than he was in the high school, and he and the superintendent were tag team so that both could have their focus. Like Steve Jupe, this is what we're doing at the high school. Some of the things I didn't agree with, and the superintendent was looking after the whole rest of the district. So my suggestion is, like, we've learned a lot from you, and I hope you carry away the idea here is that as the high school here needs a lot of love in terms of having the community see that there's great things going. The Aspire program, moving kids into college. one of the statistics that would really matter in your presentation is how many of our students go on to 2- and 4-year college programs? How many go on to academic program careers in elite colleges? We've got people at Harvard and Brown. So that's my encouragement is to perhaps let the principal be that champion, and because you're doing a great job working at the places where there is the most need.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is the long game, right? And part of that long game is, this coming year, we're going all in with our elementary schools in improving 3rd grade reading proficiency, because we know if kids aren't reading proficient by 3rd grade, they're going to continue to fall behind. And we're just passing kids forward that can't read or below grade level. It becomes a huge struggle in middle school. That's why we're having a Middle School Matters campaign coming up, because often what we're finding with our kids in middle school is they don't think middle school matters, and they're not putting enough emphasis in getting good grades. They don't understand that what they do in middle school actually does impact their availability of choice in high school and what they're going to be able to do in high school. So really driving home about the importance of middle school and that it does matter for our kids. But it is the long game in terms of academic achievement for our kids. But if we aren't addressing the social, emotional, and the trauma that's happening with our kids, they're not going to be in a place to learn at all. So you have to do both. You can't ignore the social, emotional, or the trauma that kids are coming to school with. We have to address it. Schools by design weren't made for that. Schools by design were institutions to educate kids, just purely the educational side. So this is a whole kind of new world for schools that are seeing kids coming with a lot of just different things that we've not seen before.
I'm going to respond back because I totally agree. And there's different messages for different moments. This is a good message for the broad understanding of what the schools need to do and for reality checks. In the last things that you were talking about, moving toward a bond, we need a message that is, like, put it this way, the things that you're talking about, 3rd grade reading, those are formative, and people in the community see like, okay, that's like a midterm. The final exam is what happens at high school. Yeah, how many kids are going on to college? That's what's going to be the message that needs to go out to the community when we're talking about moving toward a bond.
Absolutely.
Carolyn, one of the statistics that you noted on the slides, well, 2 that really caught my attention. They were, again, they're so informative. 15 different languages spoken. So my first question would be, of course, coming from students coming from the Central America, are you native languages? Is that part of the mix? I'm assuming that some of the and
yes.
Do you have barriers in dealing with students? Are they coming prepared, or do they speak Spanish? Is there an issue there? So that's my first question.
Yeah, many coming speaking Spanish, some speaking like a dialect of Spanish, some the Mixteco language, which is not a written language. So that's an interesting and curious one. We have Russian. We have some Russian speaking students. So yeah, we've got all of them coming. It's interesting. Some of them are older students coming to us who have immigrated and or are seeking, asylum here in the United States. Fortunately, most of them are coming with an educational background, like they've been in school, so they're coming already educated. So it's just the language, right? So it's getting them caught up in the English language, but not necessarily caught up academically. Okay. If that makes sense.
And my second question, I'll turn it back over to the group. Students relying on online access. What is the availability of broadband for your students? Is that an issue?
Definitely an issue, or continues to be an issue. We have many that do not have broadband access, so we provide hotspots for them to be able to access um, our internet system to be able to do the virtual school. We are working to apply for the BEAD money, which would expand broadband access here in this community.
Okay. And there is a new director on board at the Quality Life Network,
Mhm.
and that's a good connection. You probably already made that, but if not,
Yeah.
you can definitely make
Yeah,
that.
our technology, so our technology services come through the Columbia Gorge ESD. They service all of our technology, and they have an amazing technology team that includes a director and several staff under him. It includes a cybersecurity expert. But yeah, they are very connected with the Q Life director, and they're working collaboratively on the BEAD funding.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Other questions from the table?
Going back to the attendance matters, I'm sorry, Bill, I'll jump here. I noticed that the migrant population had rather good attendance. It's like
Yes.
fifth highest.
Uh-huh.
And that's a surprise. Any
Mhm.
suggestions why that's what's going on there? That's great.
It's a great question. It's not really like one we've unpacked yet, but
Yeah, if it's going great, we don't go looking for why.
well, yeah. I mean, I think my experience culturally with our migratory population and or our Hispanic Latino community is that there is a great importance on education and coming to school every day,
Yeah.
and they really value it. And so also school is a place for their kids to be while they're working. So
Yeah.
that could be contributing factors.
I agree.
Yeah.
Other questions around the table?
I have a couple of comments. There was a couple of things that Phil touched on, which had to do with community outreach.
Yeah.
And once again, I've always been a really strong supporter of this particular group, having to do with the fact that it's a networking piece. And I would think that if there was a possibility of either having you or a designated person come on a regular basis, just as a participant, not necessarily as a bona fide speaker coming, but just as a person to come and share that little bit of a nugget of information each time you can, because then it just keeps information rolling through the community and people don't lose sight of that. So that's just another way to do that, I think, is important.
Yeah, and I think so Stephanie Bowen, our communications director, was part of the chamber board, I think. But I think she's going to be stepping away, but I do agree it would be important for schools to still have a place with the chamber, whatever that looks like. And I'm happy to serve in that role and or have a designee, whatever that looks like, but completely agree. It's a great connecting point, and it's a great place just to give updates of like, hey, here's what's going on in schools right now.
Exactly. And I don't know, I've stepped away from this group for a while, but it used to be very open to anybody who wanted to touch into Zoom and participate at some level.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tried to encourage, was to have people feel comfortable enough to just step in on a Thursday morning if they wanted to and participate in that way. So I hope that that's the way it's continuing. The other piece that I have is, I'm just curious for you, for you, what are your biggest frustrations, I think, with the school, and what do you think? Well, the things that you feel like if you could,
Yeah.
snap your fingers and change to
Mhm.
make something special for you, what would that be?
I mean, more money always helps, right? Like schools are always asking for more. I know people I think like to harp on schools for always asking for more money, but like additional dollars to do more things for kids and to give them more access to more innovative stuff. And I mean, that would be one. I think the mental health system helping us develop a robust mental health support for kids that are coming in just with complete trauma and we don't know how to meet their needs.
There you go.
It's getting in the way of their learning. And we're not able to effectively educate our kids that are coming with trauma because it's so deep that we don't have enough support there. Currently we have like one school-based clinician that's servicing all our schools through Mid-Columbia Center of Living. Like every single one of our schools needs a full-time school-based clinician, like just there every day. So yeah, the more money, and if I had more money, I would put it towards all the mental health support we could get, because we have to address that. And that's just something I don't think, unless you're inside the walls of our schools, you don't know what we're dealing and managing with on a daily basis. And it, we have an obligation to serve every kid, and regardless of how they walk through our doors, we're going to serve them, and we got to meet them where they're at. And sometimes that means we have to set the academics aside because we got to address what's going on over here first, because the kid's not even ready to learn.
There you go. And that's the uptick that you've seen as more kids
Yes.
coming in more traumatized, and for a lot of different reasons.
For a lot of different reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate
no problem.
that.
No problem.
Well, thank you for the point on this group, this meeting itself. I'd like to reach out to you. Lisa and I are having discussions on how we kind of rebuild, expand, and broaden participation in the network from all organizations. And Superintendent Bernal, to Bill's point, you are absolutely welcome.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's every Thursday morning at 7. It's and if you can't make it, if someone else could represent you, starting with you because you're on the screen, but I'm going to be bugging people across the community with that same challenge.
Yeah. I'm sure Stephanie and I could share the load. We can tag team it.
Right.
We've just got a couple of minutes left. Other questions?
I just want to add to that, Dan. I think, I don't live in this school district, as most of you on this screen know. And I do think the key to successful bonds and successful positive outcomes for our schools, and it saddens me that the Dalles struggles with this because I grew up in that district, but is the community connection. And that's what's missing. And being in Dufur in our district, like this, we all feel ownership in our school, even though I don't have kids in school any longer. And I think that has to do with that outreach connection. Mm-hmm. So for a successful bond, I think somehow the district and the board has got to get that connection point so that we can get those people that don't have kids in the school to focus their money towards the school. Yeah. It's time that we do that. And I just support it 100%. And if there's something I can do in the business community, I am happy to do that because that's our future. It's super important.
Perfect.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you.
As a former teacher, one of my favorite things is see my former students in the community. I was at the community college for Memorial, and one of the students who was one of the types that we would focus on here with all those needs and such, he was there and listening, and I was so proud to see him there. Moving on to his education, the Dalles High School does excellent job with career training programs. The shop classes go back to the good old mechanic shops, and it's their wood shop, all of that. They've got an excellent and connection to the community college for getting college credit during high school. Yeah, there are lots of things that can shine there that I'm really proud of.
And I like the comment that Carolyn Felderman just put in, and I'm going to read it for the record. Communicating that an investment in schools is an investment in our community's future. We all get that, but we sometimes struggle to see that bigger picture. That's a great message. Thank you. Carolyn, thank you. Superintendent Bernal, thank you for your time. We're at the 8 o'clock hour. With that, I'm going to close off. Again, our guest this morning has been Superintendent Carolyn Bernal, North Wasco County School District, with a fantastic, informative presentation. This is going to be posted to the Chamber website. So again, thank you all for your time and look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week with expanded audience. We'll be working on that, expanded participation. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.